let's talk about talking bigger than expected. Liz Truss, this new poll coming out tonight, YouGov, showing a much bigger than expected lead amongst Conservative Party members who will decide this eventually as to who they want to run the country. Way ahead, way bigger than it was last time. If you're Rishi Sunak, you're worried, aren't you?
Yeah, I think you are. And I think that's why the conversation so far has been all about what MPs think in Westminster. But it's almost completely irrelevant because this next stage moves to the members. And this poll shows you what they really think, which is that Liz Truss is the person for them. And that's why this tax conversation about tax cuts, when they should happen, how big they should be, is absolutely vital.
I think it's the big decision, right? Yeah. Because they now have a clear divide between Rishi Sunak, who keeps talking about I'm the real Thatcher. In other words, actually, to start with, she actually put up some taxes and then, when the economy recovered, she then slashed them. Whereas Liz Truss says, actually, I'm the real Thatcher. She mentioned Thatcher's name 3 times in one sentence today. And she says, because actually I believe in small government and cut the taxes. Yeah. You can't have both. So the party has to make a call about which way it goes. Yeah,
and the party has to make a call about what conservatism is. And what's been happening for quite a long time is that the party in Westminster has actually moved away from what the membership in the country is. And we've seen that in elections. Yes, Boris Johnson held the red wall, but that was a shift in itself. And look what's been happening in the south and those seats that the party used to rely on. They're not Tory anymore, they're Lib Dem. And that's a problem that the party's recognised, but no one's really done anything about. And this could be the deciding factor for the direction it goes. And crucially, what happens at the next general election, because when you look at the polling there, it's not the same. The general population prefer Rishi Sunak over Liz Truss. And that's a problem. Do the membership go for who they will win the next election with, or who they prefer when it comes to their heart?
Well, Emily, that's a good point, because he's been saying, Rishi Sunak today, I've got a better chance of winning the election. This is a bigger picture that's going on here. But actually, some of the most recent polling today shows even that is narrowing now. But actually, if you ask who they think will beat Keir Starmer, I think Liz Truss is pretty well up with him now. So she's making a lot of inroads here into Rishi Sunak's apparently unassailable position. If I'm his camp, I'm worried about this.
His camp will be worried about it, but I think it is still early days. We don't have long, because most of those ballots are going to get returned in early August. And I think time is running out for Sunak. But she's come out with her big tax cutting. The Tories have been totally wrong for the last 20 years. It's all about tax cuts. As long as we tax cut, there's going to be mega growth. Everything's going to be fine. I don't need to find any money for all these big spending splurges. She's going up for 3% on defence. That's just, you know, there was another one giving tax breaks to families today. Sounds great. Sounds sexy. More money in our pockets. Take away, give us big tax cuts. But is any of it real? Because it's just got to be said, there have been some quite clever people sitting in that Chancellor chair over the last 20 years. So they're all wrong. Apparently, you can cut taxes and you're going to get growth. And it's literally as simple as that. I mean, if it's that simple, why do we need a treasury?
Well, exactly. And Isabel, there is some amusing footage of Miss Truss actually applauding people like Philip Hammond when they sit down after basically doing the complete opposite to what she now says that she hated all this stuff. Really? Well, you were applauding and slapping him on the back?
Well, look, I'm going to stick my neck out here and say that Liz Truss is going to win this contest, and she's going to win it by a really big margin.
Should she win it?
Look, no one ever...
And then she's going to lose the election.
No one ever voted for more of the same. I mean, I am astounded that Rishi Sunak's team think that they can win this by saying, I'm just going to carry on with the historically high taxes that I've imposed. 70-year high. Is that really going to appeal to the Tory membership? We have just been in a 2-year pandemic.
There's a war in Ukraine, right? These are incredibly serious times. I'm reminded of that movie, The American President, with Michael Douglas, when he eventually rounds on his opponent who's attacking him, and he says, these are serious times that require serious people, Bob. Well, and I thought of that today, and I was like, isn't Sunak... I mean, the Times leader today came out in favour of Sunak, saying, we need a grown-up with a massive brain. And actually, it seems to me Sunak is that guy. Now, will the members go for the massive brain, or will they go for Mother Christmas, dishing out all the treats?
To be fair, she also has a massive brain. I mean, this is a woman with a degree from Oxford and plenty of credible experience of her own right. What they will go for is the candidate who wrote the opinion piece in the Daily Mail today, which ticks every single one of the membership's boxes. She's talking about making an opportunity of Brexit, and don't imagine that Brexit has gone away as an issue for the membership. She's talking about getting rid of wokery, something that should appeal to you.
I'm all in favour.
She's talking about ending this culture of talking down our country, our history and our culture. Look, this ticked every single box. All Rishi Sunak has to offer is a pretty glossy campaign and telling us that we're all going to have to put up with years more taxes.
Right, Kate, I mean...
It's not really a winning agenda.
He's not said that. He has not said that. He said, I've got to deal with inflation first, and then I'm going to cut taxes.
He said if we try and slash them now, inflation will get worse.
Yeah, that is the traditional Tory stance, and I think you're quite right. I think a lot of people who have been Tories for many years are right to be thinking, what is going on here?
Yes.
Because they're both appealing to different elements of the Tory party.
And the
tax
victim,
cuts, yes, but what about
the victim may be the party. Rod Liddle made an interesting point today, where I think he read in the Spectator or somewhere saying it's all been way too quick, this process, and that within a week we've gone from Boris Johnson to the final two, and that's nowhere near long enough. You know, in America, they go through a much longer nomination process.
Could we stand it?
Well, I just think in the end, the point about a nomination process is it's very rigorous. In America, you go through debate after debate after debate. We've had, 2 debates, and here we are. Yeah. The final 2, take it or leave it. Just decided, as you say, by 150,000 people.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was talking to an MP, Tory MP, who's been around for a really long time in Parliament, and he was saying, I think our party has got too used to the really quick cycle of things changing. If you think about just the last 5 years, everything has changed on a kind of year and a half, maybe even 2 years. And it's almost like the party's got so addicted to that cycle that they just need to shake everything up.
I mean, if you're Rishi Sunak, you might think, you know what? All right, Miss Truss. Off you go then. You're going to have a nightmare 2 years, right? The war is going to get worse before it gets better. The pandemic is by no means over, right? You've got the worst financial crisis we've had probably in living memory. You add all those things up, this could be the worst hospital pass that any Prime Minister has ever had to inherit. I mean, you could do. And then who comes out after the election when she gets a drubbing, say, from Keir Starmer, which may or may not happen. Yeah. But if that happens, in sales, Rishi is the saviour. So it might be a good one to lose.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, no one ever really wants to be leader of the opposition as opposed to being Prime Minister. I imagine that if he
You're not thinking a time like this? I think I'd rather be leader of the opposition.
There are some Tories who are saying, actually, we could do with a spell in opposition.
Not many,
exactly
not
many,
need,
but
by
a few.
The way. But they're going to be out for a long time, I think. So I don't imagine that happens. By the way, you know, I was talking up Liz Truss big time, but I mean, don't underestimate how rough around the edges that campaign is relative to Rishi's incredibly smooth machine, which is packed full of people.
I've got to say, I had a long chat with him at Lord's Cricket Ground last year.
Very pleasant.
And he was really like, it was a group of people. He was very effortlessly charming, very direct. If you asked him a question, he gave you a straight answer. What I loved most of all, he goes and does cricket nets at the Oval with his son. Yeah. And I said to him, are you a defensive prodder? I imagine you are. He went, absolutely not. I'm a front-foot, aggressive, attacking batsman. OK, there's a bit of flair in there. But more importantly, he was at Goldman Sachs. This guy's got an amazing brain for the economy. I look at Liz Truss and I think, yeah, you're ticking all those boxes. You're kind of Thatcherite. I get it. I can see why the members might like it. But I'm also thinking, have you got what it takes to get this country out of this massive economic mess? And a lot of smart economic people think cutting taxes right now would be a disaster.
I think that's why this contest is still wide open. I know it's sort of going in her direction at the moment, but let's just remember the members so far, they went for Penny Mordaunt, then they switched to Kemi, and now they're on Truss. And Sunak's always been there, you know, at the bottom. He may be the one that comes out at the end, because I don't claim to really understand the Tory party anymore, but I do know that the Tory members are mostly, who are voting on this, are mostly based in the southeast. Yeah. And most of them do tend to be centrist. Yes, they go to the right, but there is a very real danger that Liz, who has now adopted the sort of far right of the party and is now talking up, oh, don't listen to economists, don't listen to the establishment. I've got this brave new plan, which apparently no economist or any chancellor could possibly have thought of in the last 20 years, which is cut taxes, growth, boom. I mean, it sounds like rubbish.
It's going to work.
It is going to be rubbish. It's not going to work.
It's another gamble to take with the nation's finances. Let's take a short break.
And you never know, they might come back and say, actually, Rishi's still the one talking sense.
They might. Unfortunately, I'm going to be away for the rest of this, so I'll find